Would you talk to yourself the way you talk to someone you love? We're going to talk about that right now on a spiritual remedy.
It's a spiritual remedy, a deep internal peace from the bondage of the self. I have found my sweet release. It affirms the life I'm living. It's the truth within my soul.
Welcome to a spiritual remedy, beloveds. My name is Sunshine Daye with Vida Spiritual Learning Center. And the last 3 weeks, we've been releasing the inner critic. We've questioned the voice. We exposed shame. And we've learned to become someone our younger self can trust. And now we're asking, how do we actually speak to ourselves? Because changing that inner conversation can change our whole life, changes everything about our entire life. And if you talk to me the way I used to talk about myself, we wouldn't be friends. As a matter of fact, we might be throwing some fists right now and having a fight. And yet, I used to think that talking to myself that way was helping me. I thought criticism kept me accountable, and I thought sacrifice made me spiritual. I thought putting everybody else first made me a good person. But what if there's a difference between being selfless and abandoning yourself? Yeah, let's uncover that a little bit more, because some of us would never talk to another human being the way we've talked to ourselves. I mean, imagine walking up to someone you love or your friend and saying, "Yo, you're worthless. You're a failure. You should know better. You're a mess." Your friend would probably be like, "Excuse me?" And you say, "Well, I'm just trying to help you." No, that friendship would probably be over. So why do we think that being cruel to ourselves is an appropriate motivational strategy when the person that we're talking to is our very own self? See, there was a time in my life when I thought I had to sacrifice myself for the greater good, that I had to take one for the team and I had to put everyone else first. I had to make that sacrifice. And underneath that thinking was a hidden belief that my good somehow counted less. And what I've come to understand is something very, very different. My good is actually a part of the greater good. And now that doesn't mean that I get everything I want, and it doesn't mean that I never serve. It doesn't mean that I don't make sacrifices. It means that I don't have to sacrifice myself in order to love other people. There was also a time where I could identify myself with words like worthless, dope fiend, drunkard. I had relapsed, I made mistakes, I hurt a lot of people. But I eventually learned the difference between accountability and self-condemnation. And I can say today, I made a mistake. And I can apologize today. I can make amends. I can change my behavior and I can do better next time. And I don't have to call myself all those terrible things in order to do any of it. So here's a spiritual truth that I've come to live. If the indwelling presence is expressing as me, then my good matters. Not because I'm more important than anyone else, but because I am a part of the one life. And my well-being contributes to the well-being of the whole. Think about it. If you're depleted, if I'm depleted, if you're resentful, if I'm resentful or dishonest with myself, and I constantly abandon my own needs, what am I really bringing to the greater good? What are you really bringing to the greater good? But when we're spiritually grounded, when we keep our word to ourselves, And when we tell the truth, when we have healthy boundaries, and when we live from love, I have more of myself available to give. So self-kindness isn't selfish. Self-kindness is stewardship. And there's another important distinction. Kindness doesn't mean letting myself off the hook. Kindness means that I can hold myself accountable without abandoning myself. So here's today's spiritual remedy. Catch yourself the next time you make a mistake. And before the critic gets in there, pause and say to yourself, what would I say to someone I love if they were in this situation? And then say that to yourself. Not a lie, not spiritual bypass, not everything is wonderful when it ain't and when it isn't. Tell the truth with love. I made a mistake. That was an error. I don't like when that happens, or I need to make it right. And I'm still worthy of love even while I learn. That, beloveds, is spiritual maturity. And your practice this week is called the kindness turnaround. So for 1 week, every day this week, keep a small note in your phone and call it If I Loved Me. If I Loved Me. And every time you catch yourself saying something harsh, write down the statement and ask, what would I say to someone I love? So instead of saying, I'm such an idiot, try, I made a mistake that I can learn from. Instead of, I should have known better, try, now I know more. What will I do differently instead? And instead of saying, I have to sacrifice myself, try, how can I honor myself while contributing to the greater good? And here's a question that I want you to carry all week. Can I tell myself the truth without being cruel to myself? Because this is a practice. This is not pretending. It's not excusing. It's not avoiding responsibility. It's truth with love. So look at all that we've done this month. We have learned that not every voice deserves our belief, that inner critic, right? We've also discovered that shame is a learned language that we can release as well. And we've practiced becoming someone our younger self could trust. And now we're learning to speak to ourselves in the language of love. 39 years of sobriety has taught me something that I could never have learned by simply trying to be perfect. I don't have to hurt myself to help myself grow. I can own my mistakes. I can make amends. I can keep my word. I can serve. I can love. And I can include myself in the good that I'm creating. Because my good is a part of the greater good. So, beloveds, this week, keep your eye on the prize. Life is for you. And remember this truth this week. I can hold myself accountable without abandoning myself. Until the next time, know that you are loved.
Found a spiritual remedy and the joy is real. Just surrender to the power. Let it live as you. Everything you wanted finally coming true.